it was like they ran out of story at episode 10 and they're like, oh crap, we have 2 more episodes. Oh, let's make Andrew a serial killer.
Hi everyone, welcome back to our rewatch of Happiness, the K-drama from 2021 starring Park Hyung-sik and hyo-joo. We're super excited to talk to you about the back half. If you have not listened or watched yet, we already did the first 6 episodes or the first half. You can check that out here or check it out in the show description below. So, we've dove in on this zombie / madman rabies apocalypse. We are all trapped in the apartment. But before we get too carried away, let's say hello to everybody that we are hanging out with for the remainder of this Happiness rewatch. We have Carol from the KDramasMusings. We've got MICHAELA from the Kpopcast. And we've got CAITLIN from No Sleep for Dramas. If you guys want to say a quick hello, we will then get started with our fantastical finale of Happiness.
Hi, everyone. I'm super excited to be here. This is Carol from KDramasMusings, and I want to talk about Andrew. And that's it.
Yeah, full stop. Full stop.
Hi, everybody. This is MICHAELA from the Kpopcast. I also want to talk about Andrew, but my goal for this episode is to get Jenn to like this show.
That is a lofty, lofty goal, MICHAELA. Lofty.
Hi, I'm CAITLIN. I'm No Sleep for Dramas on all social media accounts. I don't know how I felt about Andrew during my first watch, but I definitely noticed him during my second watch, and that's all I'm gonna say.
How could you not? How could you not?
I know, right? Exactly. And if you are new here and you just clicked on this because you loved Happiness or you hated Happiness, I am Jenn from the KThree, and we've got years of different recommendations and reviews in our playlist, so feel free to dive in. All right, you guys. So, all right, the finale. I'm gonna, full disclosure, it took me forever to finish the last 6 episodes. Forever. When
Why?
I couldn't get, I finished them, but honestly, at the end of the day, I was so bored. I was bored, you guys. So I'm going to leave that there because I don't want to take over, make this about Jen's unhappiness with happiness. So, but I know you guys enjoyed it. So let's jump in. Carol, give me your thoughts on the back half of Happiness before we all dive in.
I will say I did get tired of the members of the building, especially the man who clubbed his wife and is having an affair.
Oh, evil Dr. Glasses?
Yeah, evil Dr. Glasses got on my last nerve, and so did the woman who wants to be a representative for her building. She is just so obsessed with status and image, and I was just like, lady, you don't even have a couch. You don't even have a couch. It was so wild to me how she's living inside her 12th floor. I also...
With folding chairs and a poker table for furniture.
And a drying rack. And I was just like, it's not happening here. It's so sad. And now people start coming in. I will also say that the policeman, he disappointed me.
Oh.
He joined this cult and he got so scared. And I was just like, man, I expected better from you. You've known these kids forever. How could you? And that's where I'll stop for now.
The Kentucky priest got to our other cop friend and just took advantage of somebody who, from the very beginning, he keeps telling our main leads, hey, I'm not doing so well. I'm not doing so well. And he's just sinking further and further into clearly what is a depression. And I don't know. I guess for whatever reason, our leads aren't really picking up on that initially, or aren't taking it as seriously as they should have, because he turns on them. He points the gun at them and treats them like the enemy. These people who are supposed to be on his side the whole time. That was the most heartbreaking betrayal of the whole show for me, which is how they the evil crew kind of got their claws into him and turned him against our main leads.
I was pissed. All right, CAITLIN, where did you land after the back half?
I also was really annoyed with the multiple building residents. Did not change from my first watch. I also kind of got bored in the middle part of it. I think because I was just so sick of the building residents. And then I was fine watching the last couple episodes because at least it was like moving, even though I disagree with how it was moving.
At least stuff was happening.
Yeah,
it should have
yeah.
happened 6 episodes earlier, but at least something was happening.
Yeah, I think, and I will comment really quickly, Michaela, with your point. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong or talk back. It doesn't really, I don't know. With your, I do agree. I was very disappointed in the police, man. At the same time, I think they worked together, especially the male lead. He worked so long with him. I don't think it really fathomed to him that he would be betrayed by this policeman, but also they were like, he trusted him so much. I think that might be why he didn't notice that he was spiraling, because he was like, okay, he might, or maybe he did. Maybe he was like, okay, he's spiraling, but like, that's like, I understand that reaction to an extent until it wasn't understandable anymore.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he foresaw that he would step over the boundary that he.
Yeah. But what gets me about it is like after they kind of resolve everything and he comes back to their side and he's like no longer the enemy or whatever. They tell him to be like, hey, next time if you're feeling like you're going to that dark place, let us know. And I'm like, he's been letting you know the whole time.
How many more times does he have to tell you,
True.
I'm not coping well, before you acknowledge that it's not going well? My biggest, I mean, I had so many quibbles. I mean, listen, I'm just going to full stop say that it just was not an enjoyable rewatch for me. I mean, I did it. I watched it. I didn't actively hate it. I finished it. But I found, especially in episodes, 7 through 10,
Yeah,
we just kept moving our characters to a different apartment to have the same conversation over and over and over again. Who's infected? Okay. Why are you here? You don't deserve to have this apartment. You're too poor. You're not as cool as us. It was the same conversation. Like nothing happened for episodes. The only place that brought me any joy was with our guy Han-sik just doing dastardly shit, like in the military complex with his wife and having to choose between his wife and his son. And I'm like, can we stay here for hours? Because this is far more compelling for me than watching these two because I mean, I get that he's a detective and she's a special ops person, but what kind of like our building rep, who put them in charge of policing this entire building? Like they were just running around from apartment to apartment telling people what they could or could not do or how you were going to distribute things and I'm just like, by episode 10, I'm just like, shut up, make it stop. So angry. I was so over it. I was looking something up. I think the poster so I could do some promotions of our podcast, which I hope you guys are enjoying the podcast, even if we did not enjoy this, because we're having a great time talking about not enjoying it. That part's a ton of fun. And I went looking for the poster and I saw, y'all, do you know who was originally attached to this drama? And it was not Park Hyung-sik. He was not the original lead to this drama. It was Park Sung Hoon, who I adore. And suddenly, what could have been made me even more angry.
Wait. Who's Park Sung Hoon?
The Glory, the fashion guy in The Glory, the cop in the
Kidnapping Day,
the Kidnapping
Not Others.
Day.
What is it? Psychopath's Diary, Justice.
I'm seeing him, but I think Park Hyung-sik is better. Jen, hear me out. Jen,
Those are fighting words, Carol, but I'll hear you out.
I love him. Okay. I love Park Sung Hoon. I think he's amazing. But I don't think he could have brought the silent adoration that Park Hyun-sik brings when he's in love with his female lead.
Have you watched Into the Ring?
I have. I loved it. I just like when I'm pairing him with Han Hyo-joo, I'm seeing Park Hyun-sik. And that scene, let's take a moment to celebrate that scene. The scene where Han Tae-suk takes Han Hyo-joo and Park Hyun-sik's character chases the car and jumps over it and points his gun at.
Yes.
That alone tells me that this role was for Park Hyun-sik. I'm sorry. That was so hot. That was amazing.
I'll let you have it. I don't agree, but I acknowledge that we have different tastes. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
there's just a difference in physicality that especially that Park Hyung-sik has in this role, which I realized we forgot to mention. Like, again, this is his first drama back from military. He's like
yes.
a little thicker than he usually is, and like
Yes.
he's wearing these like lovely sweaters, and he's got this bat that he's just swinging around the whole time. And he just looks hot. Park Sung Hoon, who does have like, you know, he's done some like, you know, physical roles, just like the difference in body type, I guess you're right, is a more preference for Park.
I will acknowledge that possibly due to my age, I am more into Park Sung Hoon than I am into Park Hyung-sik. Therefore, that is a better casting for me. But I do recognize the adoration and love for Park Hyung-sik out in the K-drama landscape. So
yes, with his little nose and his elf ears.
But can I just quibble on that scene you guys just talked about? It was hot, and I was like, that's really the way he leaped over, like kicked the side cart and then over the car and pulled the gun. I mean, it was amazing. But didn't he like blow out his knee and couldn't run anymore, and that's why he couldn't play baseball? He should not have been able to pull that off.
Well, hang on. I'm going to push back on that. Okay. So if he busted his knee playing baseball and he couldn't play baseball anymore just because of the physicality of the baseball and how frequently he would be playing, and now he's in the police, he's worked a couple of years, that 5-second scene of action, of course he's going to be in pain. However, adrenaline kicks in when he has to save Sebum, and it just worked. Okay, Jen, it just worked.
I yield to the floor. It worked, and Park Hyung-sik is the man. All right.
Can I add one more little Park Hyun-sik tangent? Especially since we're starting from episode 7 to 12. In episode 7 starts out with him thinking that Park Se-bum is like kidnapped by our penthouse dude, and like the aggression and intention and intimidation that he has when he's like trying to break down the door to go save her. Okay,
thank you, MICHAELA.
I yield.
I'm gonna put my mic on mute and let you guys have at it because I was so annoyed with that scene. I was like, our girl Sebum will not only save herself, she will save half this building because she is a bigger badass than anybody else in this building. But his need to like over damsel in distress her made me crazy. But I will yield that he was hot doing his moments.
Well, I think it was even, okay? Because when you look at that specific scene with him jumping onto the car with his pointed gun, you see Sebum wake up and she's also pointing the gun at him. It just felt like their partnership just works.
Yeah.
And as much as he goes saving, she also does the saving too of him and of the people in the building. So I think it was half and half. I was very impressed with how much saving each of them did. And I will say I love Sebum more because I just feel like it came across like she didn't really care for him in the beginning. And then you get to see just how much she cares for him, which I loved.
I mean, I'm so glad you guys enjoyed this. I really am. I'm gonna let you guys have it. I'm just gonna let you have it. It's just, this is the beauty of K-drama. Every K-drama doesn't have to be for every person. And that is the thing. Right. Like, I mean, we can debate it all day long. I mean, there's no hill I'm gonna die on this one. Like, you can have it, like, for sure. The only thing I will say is I was really into Han Tae-suk. Like him pulling a gun when he was like when he was in, like, it was late in the show, but he was injecting his wife with the final like antibodies, and he wasn't even looking. He just pulled the gun. I was like, clearly I'm a 50-year-old woman, because that to me was the hottest movie. Because I was like, yes, look at him in his little 3-piece suit, not even looking, but pulling the gun. I was like, that's my man. That is where I landed in that. So
I think I have to say, in my first watch, I think I was very annoyed with him, but he didn't annoy. I don't know why. I kind of remember that I was annoyed the first time I watched this with him. And maybe it was because he like kept attempting to get Sebum out of the building, like secretly and kind of just covertly and not really just being honest with them. The second time around, I didn't really mind him as much as I thought I would. But yeah, I do remember my first watch, I was kind of annoyed with him. I will say, Jen, I did like that scene too.
That was great.
It did.
I was like, yes. I will give you guys this. In episode 8, I put in all caps, kiss, kiss, kiss. Because the moment on the patio when they almost kissed, I was like, that's hot. I'll give you guys that. There's my gift to you for this show.
We'll take it.
And that's the thing. This is one of those, again, we talked about this last episode. This is what I called the enemies to friends to lovers, a very slow burn romance between the two of them. And we don't get a kiss until the very end, which for most K-dramas can be very disappointing for some people, especially if it's already established that like our guys are in a relationship already. But again, because we're starting from this place of friendship with them, when we finally get to the kiss, at least for me, it just made it just so much more meaningful and epic. Like, I mean, I've watched dramas where it's like, okay, these characters are supposed to be like romantically interested, and then they kiss like halfway through, and I completely lose interest.
Oh, okay. So what you're saying is the kiss was the kiss and the timing and the everything for it was perfect for you. You were 100% into that.
Yeah, because she was making out with him as a zombie, which it was a little weird, but like the fact that again, through everything that they've been through, like it all of their feelings for each other make sense, whereas with previous shows, it could feel forced or not enough.
It felt earned. Like at that point where they did it, it was like, because at that point, like, he thought he was gonna like die or turn into a zombie and like never see her again, and didn't expect her to be there at all. She was obviously racing against time at the same time, but like it felt earned because they both were in this. It was good timing. They were in the same spot, but it also was a way of getting a moment for themselves before all the craziest happened afterwards. So it was like good timing in terms of like they went through this entire crazy thing, and then they had this beautiful moment of acknowledging that they liked each other and it wasn't just one-sided, and then they hit all the craziness afterwards.
I loved that kiss scene because it also reminded me very much of the Coffee Prince episode 10 kiss scene where Choi Han-gil says, I don't care what you are, whether you're an alien. I don't like those words, but it felt very similar to what Hyo-joo's Sebum was saying in that scene, where I got you. It's okay. We're going to go through this together, and I really like you. And then they kiss. And I was like, oh, yeah, I need to watch Coffee Prince again, which is beside the point.
One of my favorite scenes ever in this drama, and I remember in the first part, it was so unexpected, and I loved the moment and the timing that it happened, was when Park Sun-sik changed into a zombie for the first time and bit Andrew on the roof. I can't remember if it was a conversation we had on the K3 channel as we were watching it as it was airing, Jen, or just in social media in general. I remember commenting that he must have had so much fun doing that scene and like playing a zombie in general. And also it just was so unexpected. Like we knew he was bit at that moment and we knew it was eventually going to happen, but we didn't exactly know when. So to have it happen at that exact moment was just, I loved it. I loved it so much.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was great to see. I mean, Park Sun-sik was like, you could tell he was just like, I get to be a zombie and eat people. It was kind of awesome, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about, okay, I have a question. The guy in the 15th floor apartment.
I was just about to ask about that. He broke my heart.
He did, but did Andrew kill him?
Yes.
He did?
Yeah, he did.
Yes, Andrew killed him.
That's why he got covered in lime. That's why they found him covered in lime. That was like Andrew's signature.
This is where we start the big...
I think this is where the Andrew rant begins.
Yeah.
But I don't think that was Andrew's signature. I think that was our 602 like wacky Dr. Glasses guy. Because he brought the big bag of lime. He's like, lime, we can cover him. Like he was like he was in on it because the doctor and the building the building rep were both like, Andrew, just kill the people we want you to kill so that we can basically take over the building and then we're going to disavow you. And I forgot that from my first watch. I was like, oh God, these people are worse than I remember.
Yeah, I remember that. Okay. But yes, he did. Andrew did kill him.
Technically. Even though maybe not just like because he wanted to, being influenced by the other evil people.
He wanted the throne.
Yeah.
Literally.
He wanted the throne.
That throne was very Wakanda. Like,
what is happening in this apartment? Like, I don't
His entire apartment was Wakanda.
This is true. It was a lot. It was a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot.
It was a lot.
Oh, but he was a good guy.
I know. He was giving all his supplies to people. He was helping. He was like, all he wanted was a large shirt.
And now for some quick K3 K-drama coffee break business.
That's right. We love sharing our K-drama thoughts with you, our community of K-drama lovers. And we have a few ways that you can support us. You can buy us a coffee at ko-fi.com/thek3. And by becoming a member, you will get a calendar with weekly updates and also Jen's blog filled with her K-drama thoughts. You can also find us on YouTube. If you go into our archive, we have years of K-dramas to recommend for you. And talk to us there as well on our community tab. We also have a discount for a VPN service. So if you are dying to get your K-dramas that are airing only on Disney Plus in Asia, you can use our VPN. It keeps your devices safe. Just look for the code in the description below.
Okay, so the Andrew of it all. Let's dive in, you guys. My biggest quibble with the Andrew of it all is that they waited till the very last minute to do this huge reveal.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand why we didn't like sprinkle in Andrew in things throughout so that when it happened, we were like, oh, it's Andrew. Like, it just kind of, it came out of nowhere and then it just didn't go anywhere. Like, I just didn't understand why, on top of everything else, we had to add a serial killer to the mix and then get his backstory. Like, who cares about Andrew's backstory? And that's pretty much my entire rant about Andrew. MICHAELA.
Okay, so on the rewatch, I've tried to make Andrew make sense. Because again, I mentioned in the last episode how heartbroken I was to find out that he was also a villain in the end. And apparently the show did hint a few things about him at the beginning. And there was also some scenes that were cut out that would have made everything make more sense, really. So starting with like the foreshadowing, at least in the first part that we didn't get to mention because again, it was a lot. But in episode 4, you see, we kind of get that introduction of like the cleaning staff, and he's like part of their crew. And so you see, you know, our husband, guard dog, cleaning guy mentions like, oh, Andrew's such a weird name. Does he have like want superpowers or something? And then when he does that, his first turn, and he takes off his mask and he turns to our girl, Sebum, and he's like, I always wanted superpowers or whatever. And I'm like, okay, what does that mean? Like, what are they actually trying to say here? Okay, the only thing that could make it make sense to me is that they're alluding that the reason he's named himself Andrew is because he aligns himself with this character, Andrew, in the 2012 movie, The Chronicle. Do you guys remember this movie?
I do not.
I feel like we needed a reference point in the show for that.
Yeah, so Chronicle was a movie that came out in 2012. It was about these teenagers that
I do remember that one.
Gained superpowers. And you know, one of the big kind of anti-hero moments of the end was this character named Andrew goes from being like this meek, bullied kid, kind of bottom of the totem pole to, you know, what he refers to himself as like the the apex predator. And he starts just like using all of this newfound power to suppress everybody and murder people. And so that's kind of, and that movie was popular in Korea. Like, so that's the only thing I can make everything make sense about Andrew is like, he's kind of that, the low man on the totem pole who secretly inside is like plotting to become the guy on top. Kind of thing.
I mean, I applaud you for that type of deep dive research because as a viewer, I feel like the storytellers should need to give us some like signposts that that's what's occurring until it happens all like the end of episode 10. We only have 2 episodes left, and then we start with episode 11 with a backstory about him just being a guy who's like stabbing people and stealing their IDs. Like, what?
And that's the other point, Jen, was we know from the TV and special episode that there was a bunch of deleted scenes from this show. And there's very specifically one deleted scene. It's really hard to find English subs for it. There's like subs in Indonesian, which is what I use to interpret like the meaning and to help me with the Korean understanding. But there's the scene in episode 7 where our glasses guns guy with the wife. Yeah, where hyun-sik goes up to the top of the roof and finds him. And then Andrew says, "Oh, there's like these 2 zombie guys that went down there." And our guy is like, "So you just told them to leave and they left?" And like that's where the scene ends in episode 7. But the deleted scene is there's a continued version of the conversation where Andrew is like, "Oh, I can tell what people think just by looking at their facial expressions, and like, oh, I can kind of like understand what people want and manipulate them," kind of thing. So that there are other hints from that conversation where that might have like helped us be like, okay, Andrew's not like our guy that we thought he was going to be. But they cut that scene out.
You know, they should have put it in instead of the repeated same conversations in different apartments.
1000%, Carol. 1000%. Yeah. We could definitely have tapped out of like one of the 8,000 conversations about who gets whose supplies. Maybe learn a little bit more about the guy who's going to like go wackadoo throughout episodes 11 and 12 for no apparent reason.
I mean, you get the impression that the writers, and maybe because like maybe they did have the idea that he was going to be this serial killer the entire time they were writing this drama, but due to
they hinted in episode 4.
Technically, yeah.
If like, that's what it means.
Exactly. I think from what was given in the scenes and the context of what we had in the final product of Happiness, for me, it was like they ran out of story at episode 10 because they had like figured out the cure and they had like started mass producing it and whatever. And they're like, oh crap, we have 2 more episodes. How can we get people to still be invested and get even more crazy before the end of this drama? Oh, let's make Andrew a serial killer because no one really knows anything about him up to this point. Like
that is
everybody
exactly
else,
how it felt for me.
Yeah, I mean, and I honestly don't know. In my first watch, I remember being surprised because it's like it came out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember not liking it. I can't remember how I felt about Andrew the first time. The second time, due to our conversation in the first podcast episode at the very end, I got more annoyed with him because I had already heard the conversation between the 3 of you. But I also just noticed him more and noticed how wacky him being brought in to the very end was, and how disjointed it felt. And I don't remember feeling that, but I just don't remember how I felt about it. So I could have felt the same feelings when I first watched this, but I just don't remember how I felt about it.
Well, and I'll just yes and all of that with the disjointed, and it felt like it was tacked on. And like even with, and I mean nothing against the actor was fine, but you kind of expected it to be stunt casting at that point because he'd been covered his face for so long that for him to be that like sinister and malicious, like I kind of was expecting an actor that had a far more gravitas or more menacing to him than the actor that ended up being Andrew. Like he was like a young punk kid that you just wanted to like punch in the face. Like there wasn't anything really truly menacing about him except he was menacing. Do you know what I'm saying? Like they're like telling us that he's a murderer and he is menacing, therefore we should all be scared of him. But I'm also like, okay, sure.
Could that be why he lasted so long? Because everyone is looking at him and not seeing him as a menacing character. So they're just like, oh yeah, Andrew. And then when we see it's him, the audience is supposed to be shocked. Like, oh my God, I didn't expect it.
Yeah, because I mean, by the end, like he makes it from the lowest level of their little hierarchy in this, capitalist system in the house to the top penthouse. But like he sits on the throne, like so. Right. He has that arc to him.
Which I think that's the thing that frustrated me so much about the Andrew arc is that you could have had it. You could have had it, right? But we
Mhm.
had so many other
Yes.
stories that you'd already teed up. You had the cleaning couple that went just absolutely bonkers, right? Like they just went from being like, regular, workhorses that just get stuff done and clean and like have a son and they want to get back home to, like, where they didn't want to leave the apartment because they were living the high life. Like that
Mhm.
was an amazing, like, I mean, if you want to dive into like the psychology of the way people are in capitalism and the way all this works, like they were the perfect canvas for that. You had the doctor who, I mean, listen, the doctor was trash. We need to get rid of him. You had the lawyer and his wife who, thank God she like tapped out on that one. But you had their whole messy situation and the woman who had the affair with both of them. Like you already had so many of these situations that you'd already teed up that we could have told this story through. Like the Andrew of it all, just like Caitlin said, just felt very like, we're at episode 11. What? We've got 2 more episodes to fill. Who do we have left that we could make do something dramatic? Oh, and I didn't even mention the brother and sister. The brother and sister's relationship was beautiful. It was probably one of my favorites in the whole drama. Like he went from being the worst turd ever to being like actually understanding and telling people to be like, stay away from me because I'm not, he actually was one of the few that
Grew.
He grew when he recognized the limitations of it all, and then he ends up being the guy who's got the antibodies, right? So he ends up being like the savior of everyone.
Yeah.
So I just the Andrew of it all. I just felt like there were so many other places that we could have played in with people that we already, I mean, attached or not, you already had some like attachment to. You already had some experience with.
Right. Well, and then on top of that, you still had the disease and the infected people. Like, you could have probably done something with that. Also, they kind of put the old couple and the son on the back burner until, like, they needed to show that they were being rescued. So that kind of got put on the back burner that they didn't really use very much. And granted, maybe that was because of, like, scheduling, because they were older. They might have not been able to, like, work the schedule that the other actors were working type thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I agree with Jen. Like, it wasn't necessary. They had so many other storylines they could have done something with.
The storyline I would have loved more exploration on. How did the disease come about? And how did the rich people, those guys, sort of make their own club where they'll get the vaccine first? And I would have loved more discussion on that to show that it doesn't matter your socioeconomic class. We're all trash. And even the rich people can be reduced to being sinister and being bad and exploring that. I absolutely adored the scene with Han-tae-seok at the end when he was like done with them.
Right.
He gives them the bodyguard and walks out.
Ooh. One of my favorite scenes in the whole drama. I loved it. And he's like, and now you're all my test subjects. Goodbye. Good day. Good day, sir. I said good day. 1000%, Carol. I wish we would have spent more time in the Han-tae-seok world and his lieutenant that was his partner. And I really enjoyed them. The other thing that I felt like I wanted to see more of this whole generator story. Like,
right.
Like, I mean, so suddenly there's a generator that we could turn on and we wouldn't have to be like Hunger Gamesing ourselves in this apartment.
Right.
Like, I don't understand.
Nobody knew.
And that's where I'm like, I go back to Sweet Home, because that's a whole thing in Sweet Home too, where our sexy firefighter lady has to like sacrifice herself to go turn on the power and like gets attacked by monsters. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, and then you also had all the buildings around them too. Like, you could have done something with that. I mean, it was an extra storyline that just was not. And then also, I have to say, and I was disappointed. I remember being disappointed with this in the first watch too, is not only did you add Andrew and you had his whole storyline and all of his shenanigans, what the heck? Why did Park Hyung-sik had to get shot and like die at like the last 5 minutes of the drama? I remember my first watch, I'm like, really? Like, after all he's been through, you're gonna kill him, quote unquote? And I don't remember if it was a deleted scene or I read something later because I think it was a deleted scene I came across where they extended that scene a little bit and he actually yes, he got shot and quote unquote died.
Dies.
This scene explained that he also kind of just quote unquote died because he was just so exhausted at that point. It wasn't necessarily because he got shot. I'm just like, what?
Oh my God. I mean, okay, so I'm glad they cut that scene because I would have thrown something at my television if he just died from exhaustion, a la what's her name from the Star Wars saga, where she just died of heartbreak giving birth. Like, what? What is happening right now? You are a zombie. You have madman rabies. You don't die from exhaustion. All right, so I feel like we've vented about the things that we did not enjoy. I am now going to yield the floor for. Actually, I did enjoy a few things. I'm not saying I didn't enjoy it. What did you guys actually? What made this such an like? MICHAELA, you wanted to. Your goal was to get me to enjoy this drama. What is it about this drama that you enjoy so much that you wanted me to enjoy it as well? Like, what if you were pitching happiness to me? What is your pitch?
Oh, see, now this is hard considering, like, again, my number one was just I love the couple, and if you weren't here for the couple, then I don't know if I can really turn you on this one.
I wasn't not here for the couple, but as soon as I saw that it could have been Han Hyo-joo and PARK Sung HOON, I felt deeply cheated. I like Park Hyung-sik. I do. I don't dislike him, but I love Park Sung HOON.
I have a few other points if you'll allow me the floor again.
Of course.
My second point, we talked a lot generally about a lot of the main themes, especially when it comes to in the first episode about like happiness being related to like, marriage and wealth. But then there's also a second theme that we didn't get a chance to talk about that is really is a big focus, I think, in episode 7, because you get our personal trainer, aka what was his name from the sexy lawyer from Woo Ju Jung-hyuk.
Yes.
From Woo, where really with his character, I think, is like the most great example of the theme of addiction, especially in this show, and where again we get this humanized look at zombies. We also can see that as a parallel to like this humanized version of like how we treat people with addiction, especially how Korean society treats people with addiction. Like we have a bunch of examples recently of actors coming under scandal for having abused substances and getting treated by the general public as bad as you would treat a murderer. Like for doing something that is technically only harming themselves. And so we see, especially with his character, he kind of goes through this monologue of like, I know of the internal struggle of like, oh, I know what I need to like to subside this like hunger, this urge in myself, but I know that it's like it's wrong. And he goes through his like mad rabies phase and he tries to attack our main couple. And you see that they're trying to just subdue him. And then you get our guy, Han Tae-suk, who just comes in and just shoots him and he's dead. And our girl Sebum has this line where, again, the writers speaking through the characters, it's like, I didn't shoot him because I didn't have a gun. I was trying to save him because I'm treating him as somebody who's just going through an episode and just needs to be subdued and given time to heal, given time to just, get back to being a person. And I feel like we can take a lesson from that of like what the writers are trying to say about how we should be treating people with addiction as humans, not with this carceral justice of just, lock them up, kill them, whatever some people think about that. We should be treating it more of in a reformative sense of, again, giving them space to heal instead of just throwing the law at them, which I think I really enjoyed from this series. This is my TED Talk for today.
MICHAELA, I'm going to say this. If they had given me that story, I probably would have really enjoyed it. I That is not what I got. I mean, again, I just don't think happiness was for me. But I
Okay.
am glad that you guys got so much more out of it than I did. I actively hated like 95% of the people in this building.
You just want them to get eaten every time. Like every time I saw evil Dr. Glasses, I was like, why is he not dead yet? Why hasn't a zombie killed him yet? Like I was kind of sad that our boy got Andrew instead of getting him. Like, come on. But we see at the end, they get the justice part of it. Like him and our evil house rep, they go to court and have their day in court for all the evil that they did, apparently.
Well, and then we got the beautiful scene of Sabum kicking him in the nuts.
That
was very
when he was
satisfying.
pretending to be a zombie.
Yeah.
That actor is he's phenomenal in the way that in every role he is the creepiest person on screen, and I don't know if that's just who he is as a human, and he's just that guy. But every time I see him, he always gets cast as like the creepiest, weirdest, like douchiest turd ever, and he is perfection in that role every time. I mean, do you guys have any final thoughts on Happiness 7 to the finale? Like, did you find the 1 year time jump satisfying to the end with our couple? I was bummed out that we didn't see what happened with Han Tae-suk's family and what happened with his wife and or the child. I know he had to make a decision, but he never really said what the decision was. So what was it? I mean, I felt a little cheated in that area, but again, as we know, Han Tae-suk was the reason for me finishing the drama. But what were you guys' thoughts as final credits rolled?
Same as you. I wanted to see what happened with him, but I also felt cheated with the 1 year jump because we have seen this couple in survival mode their whole relationship. And then episode 8, you get that kiss scene, but you don't see the lovey-doveyness that they have in the final scene where he comes up and gives her a back hug and they're talking. And I'm like, this is so great. I need just more than this. I need to see the banter that the two of you had, which I loved with the whole racing and whoever loses, you do the dishes and whatnot. It was cute, but I needed more. And with the little girl in that scene, I just like, girl, you've been cured. Can you just like leave us alone?
She's okay. You cannot come to my house anymore. No,
it's over.
Private newlywed time.
Exactly.
No, I agree with you. And I think, again, because I love this couple. Like just they were so, again, going through all the deleted scenes, there were so many more cute and like almost like really comedic moments that were just left out of this show that would have, again, I want the director's cut because then it would give us all this stuff that we were missing out on, especially at the end. I
still like the drama. I'm a sucker for a good zombie genre though. Like my favorite part. I mean, I love the couple. I did like the couple a lot. I also agree. I wish there was more of the couple, especially after that kiss. I was like, I mean, granted, I understood why because they still had to deal with zombies and Andrew. But I always love when a drama uses its platform to talk about social issues. So I always appreciate the type of subject matters that this drama brought up, such as class. And I also was very interested, and I wish they had done more of this, as we've said, but just how every character reacted to scenarios that were given to them or the whole situation as a whole was fascinating to me. And I wish they had more of it. Because like, for example, like Jen, you said the brother started out being this like horrible person and then took things in stride and made sure that he did the best he could to keep other people safe and that type of thing. Whereas other people just descended into the madness that they made for themselves. And as you said, it was like a very fascinating look at how people would deal with that situation. And I wish we had gotten more of it because that was, whether I hated some of these characters so much that I wanted to kill them myself, it was still like a fascinating look into people's psyche and how they would handle certain situations.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly with that. Like, I think that's what I wanted. I just wanted more of. I wanted more of like the real, like the brother and the sister. Like, I mean, first of all, coming out with a catcher's mask made my life. It was hilarious, and I loved it. But I mean, I felt like you actually saw growth there, and you saw someone working through, what it's like to suddenly possibly become, a zombie. And he has to work through like how he was terrible to his sister, but will you please take care of my family? Like, I felt like those were the best scenes of how tragedy, but like you said, social situations and how that hierarchy works. I felt like they gave me the best insight into that. Everybody else was kind of a weird caricature of what would happen. Like, I felt they were the realest of all of of residents in the apartment, and our trainer, who I was really angry that he got killed.
Yeah.
I forgot he got
R.I.P. to that actor though, Nachul. He had a great performance in this show.
Yes.
A thing that irked me my second watch, and I don't know if it did in my first watch. So this drama takes place after 2020, right? They experienced lockdowns, obviously, in 2020, like the rest of us. It irked me so much that these people were so angry to be locked up in this building for a week. I'm like, seriously? Like, you were locked up more than a week in 2020. and you couldn't deal, like, I remember being irked in this second watch with that scenario, and I don't even remember what I thought about it in my first initial watch of this, but
I think we were still deep in our lockdown, so we were all like, I gotta get out of here. I totally get it. Like, get me out of here. Yeah.
There's something to be said about the fatigue of having gone through that so harsh, like wanting to, the idea of going back to that, like even if it is only a week, is slightly understandable.
Yeah. Speaking of that scene, I remember the writer talking to us again, the audience, when they were in the gym. And I think it was Park Hyun-sik's character who's like, when he was talking to the old man, and he said, when you experienced COVID, how were you treated? Something along the lines of, did you deserve it? Did you deserve getting COVID? He was like, no. And he's like, exactly. No one deserves getting this madman disease. And I was like, that is another social commentary piece that I really appreciated.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And as we wrap up, I will just say thank you to the three of you for making this rewatch much better with your insight than the actual rewatch itself. I appreciate that. Like, I really wanted to enjoy it far more than I did. I just felt like they just didn't quite stick the landing on how they were parsing that out. But you three have helped me see the light. So thank you.
Did I succeed by the end of this episode?
I will never rewatch this again, but I appreciate the insight that you have given me on this, on the drama now. I feel like I have a better understanding of certain aspects of it that I did not.
You know what? I'll take that. I'll take that one.
Mission accomplished, MICHAELA. All right. So with that being said, I just pretty much told you mine. I would not rewatch this again. Let's go around the horn and find out if you guys would recommend this as a rewatch. Carol?
I would only rewatch the car scene where he jumps on the car, and the kiss scene, and Han-suk shooting. That's it. You don't need anything else.
I mean, listen, I'll rewatch those three scenes. Those were fantastic. Those were some great scenes. Excellent. Okay, so Carol and I are on the same page there. MICHAELA?
Oh, 100%. I don't even know what this is a question for me at this point. Like, yes, I would this is on my list of K-dramas to recommend people. And I'm like, get into all of it. Like, go look at the deleted scenes, get into the OST, like go through all the other dramas that this director has, go from this to the glory, and like that's all I can say. Yes, 100% recommend. Yes, it's a good gateway.
Okay. And Caitlin, you also would recommend this as a rewatch?
Yeah, I would recommend this. I also am in the boat of Jenn and Carol, where I probably wouldn't rewatch the entire drama, but I would definitely rewatch like scenes and episodes here and there. But yeah, I would totally recommend it as like a gateway drama or someone's first drama, because I think it has a lot of themes that someone who has never seen a K-drama before would latch onto. Especially like the people I know who might have this preconceived notion of like K-dramas are just all about romance and that's it.
Yeah. And then if I could add one more point. Like, because this is technically, we're watching this for Halloween. It's technically like a scary show. And so for me, like, this is a nice, like, gentle, scary show to give people, especially for people who aren't so much into the jump scares. Me personally, I love it. I love the horror genre. But for me, like, this, again, because it's one of those, like, softer thrillers to get into for people, is also a big recommend.
It's a soft, gentle jump scare for Halloween. It's perfect. All right, you guys. Well, thank you so very much for hanging out with me once again and diving into this one. I'm Jenn from the KThree. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. I'm going to say goodbye to everyone. Let's just jump around the horn again. Carol, you want to tell everyone where they can find you and all of your amazing K-drama musings?
Yes, this has been amazing. Thank you so much, Jenn, for inviting me. And I am Carol, KDramasMusings on Instagram, KDramasMusings on TikTok, and on Threads. I do have a podcast right now, and I just reviewed Destined With You. So please tune in to our thoughts on Destined With You. And this has been great. I'll see you on the internet somewhere.
Excellent. I love it. Look forward to it, Carol. Thank you again for joining us. It's been so fun. Michaela, where can everybody find you at the Kpopcast?
So yes, I'm Michaela, the producer from the Kpopcast, bringing you the best sounds and ideas in K-pop each week. But we also talk about K-dramas. And if you liked Happiness, I would definitely check out some more from this director who also did the show The Glory, which we did a whole episode on. It's titled Glory, Bullying and Revenge in K-Dramas. So go check that out, and you can find our social medias in every description of the episodes.
And Caitlin from No Sleep for Dramas.
Hi, I'm Caitlin. No Sleep for Dramas. No Sleep, #4 Dramas on all social media platforms. I run a blog under that same name.
Excellent. All right, you guys, thank you so much. And once again, we also have a newsletter here for the K3, so I'll leave a link down below. Go ahead and subscribe there, and you will get 2 different newsletters from me, one a casting roundup for the week and one the news roundup for the week. It's a lot of fun. Until next time, you guys, I think the next one we're diving into in a week or 2 is While You Were Sleeping. Not technically a rewatch for Jenn, but Michaela and Caitlin are going to guide me through the event. And we'll see you then. Thanks so much, you guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.